Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and I welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is revealing why the Clippers, or John Wall to the Clippers, is a terrible idea. So that's the topic I'm going to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you check out Dreamerspro Max, an online sports community, place you can talk about basketball, chat live during games, and so many other cool things. If you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that linked in the comment section below. Now, we all know that I support the Clippers, and I want to see them do good because also my favorite player plays for the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard. I said all throughout last season that I thought the Clippers and the Lakers were the two best teams in the Western Conference. I thought so. I actually thought the Clippers were slightly better than the Lakers because I think they had the best player of both on either team. I thought Kawhi was a little bit better than LeBron James. Obviously, people are going to disagree, but that's what I think, and I have my arguments for that. I think there are a few things that made the Clippers a very good team last year, and one of them had to do with their versatility on both ends of the floor. If you look at that Clippers roster and you scrutinize their roster properly, you will notice that their roster was basically an amalgamation of forwards and guards, right? That could play both ends of the floor, right? They had a very versatile roster. If you look at players like Kawhi Leonard, these are all two-way players: Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris Sr., Paul George, Terrence Mann, these type of guys are all two-way players. They can play both ends of the floor. But also, one of the things that made the Clippers very, very good was the fact that they had 9 players shooting close to or over 40% from the three-point line. I couldn't think of any team in the NBA that could say that about their roster. 9 players that were shooting 40% from the three-point line. Last season, they led the NBA in three-point shooting percentage, and they led the NBA in free throw shooting percentage. So the Clippers were the best shooting team in the NBA. I think the team that had the overall field goal percentage may have been the Milwaukee Bucks or the Brooklyn Nets, if I'm not mistaken. The stats are out there somewhere, and it's not really relevant for me to go out there and look for them right now. Anyway, I think their only major weakness that they had, or the only real weakness that they had, was at the point guard spot. And in this case, I'm talking about having a legitimate playmaker, somebody that can help facilitate the offense a little bit easier, take the ball handling responsibilities out of the hand of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. This is something that they really needed, and they went out there and they ultimately got Rajon Rondo, but ultimately that didn't work out. So the news out there is now, these last few days, is that the Clippers may possibly be interested in going after John Wall, or that's some of the things that are being thrown out there. I heard Kendrick Perkins say it. I heard Chris Broussard say it, and I have some serious reservations about this move. Serious reservations. My primary concern with this proposal is that I don't think John Wall fits the system that the Clippers have. I don't really think he fits the system. I've studied that team system very, very well, very, very closely. I spent all of last season really, becoming a student of what the Clippers do, how they run their offense. And I listened to pretty much every single Tyronn Lue post-game interview, and I have a pretty good understanding of that offense. And that offense is predicated on ball movement and player movement. That's what it's predicated on, right? And they like to spread the floor and switch everything on defense. Literally, they switched everything, and it was even something that really hurt them in the first round in the playoffs when they were playing against the Dallas Mavericks, because they kept on switching, and Luka Doncic just kept on rotating the defense until he got the favorable matchup that he wanted. And I think at first it was Patrick Beverley. They couldn't play him because Luka Doncic was just taking advantage of him. And then ultimately, I think they brought Terrence Mann on the floor, and that's when things really started to change for them. So the Clippers like to spread the floor. They like to spread the floor and stretch the floor with a lot of three-point shooters. It's one of the reasons they even had a stretch big in Serge Ibaka, who's a three-point shooting big that stretches the floor, right? Something that they didn't have with Ivica Zubac. With Ivica Zubac, teams could pack the paint. It also clogs up the driving lanes for players like Kawhi Leonard and others to attack the basket. When you pack the paint, you have a lot of big bodies. But when you have a big that draws the opposing big to the three-point line, it allows them to be able to attack the basket at a much easier or at a much higher clip and at an easier rate. And if you look at John Wall and I think of how he fits with the Clippers, I have some big question marks. The first thing is John Wall, for his career, is a 32.3. What is it? Yeah, 32.3% three-point shooter. That's not very good for his career. He's only shot over 40% one time in his career in the playoffs. Only once, right? For his career, he's a 78% free throw shooter. Also, that's not good, and that's a problem. As I said, the Clippers were the #1 free throw shooting team in the NBA last season and the #1 three-point shooting team. So I don't see how that really works. And because of his lack of ability to shoot the ball from distance, in this case we're talking about the three-point line, I think defenses will be able to treat him exactly. I think they'll be able to treat him like they're going to treat probably a Rajon Rondo and a Russell Westbrook. That's exactly what they're going to do, because they're just going to force him to make jump shots, and they're going to pressure Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. That's the thing a lot of people are not paying attention to with this Russell Westbrook trade. You got to look at what teams are going to do as well. Right? And teams are going to they're going to try to push you towards your weaknesses and let you until you're able to overcome them. What teams are going to do is they're going to sag off for Russell Westbrook. They're not going to give up the drive, and they're going to focus on other people on the court like LeBron James and others. And they say, we're going to let this guy beat us on the perimeter. And if you can't make shots, you're going to hurt your team. Period. End of story. And if you have guys out there clinking up shots, clanking this one, clanking that one, it's going to hurt you, and teams are going to beat you. It's literally that simple. Right. So I don't think that's a good thing. Now, on the other hand, he does provide something that they do need. Right. Because he can definitely get them into their offense a lot earlier. John Wall is probably one of the top 5 quickest players in the NBA from both ends of the floor. He's lightning fast, super athletic when he's healthy. I mean, he's super quick. So he's a one-man fast break all onto himself. For his career, I think he's averaging over 9 assists per game for his career. He can legitimately distribute the ball, right? He can literally, get teams into their offense easier, in a much easier way, earlier in the shot clock, which is something that Tyronn Lue lamented all of last season, that's something that he wanted to do, push the tempo, be able to get them easier shots in transition, earlier shots in the shot clock, get into their offense a little bit earlier so they're not rushing shots, taking bad shots. And I think that he's a guy that will be able to help them get a lot of their guys into the offense and get them going. However, I'm not really sure about his defense as well, because remember I said the Clippers they switch on everything. So I don't know how John Wall is going to be able to hold his own if he gets switched and Luka Doncic is the person that he's matched up with, or LeBron James, or Devin Booker. These are the guys that he's going to have to face night in and night out in the Western Conference, and I don't know if he's going to be able to hold his own on the defensive side of the floor. As we saw during the playoffs, if you don't have somebody that when you switch, they can really hold their own, it's going to hurt you. Because ultimately, defense, you're going to have to get a double team. And then the minute that starts happening, your defense starts to rotate. They start getting wide open looks, and then it's over. Right? If you look at people are talking about, Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard couldn't guard him, and it had nothing to do with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was not guarding Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic was having success against the switch when he would get a Vitsa Zubac or Patrick Beverley. When Luka Doncic was matched up on Kawhi Leonard, he kept on calling for picks. He was trying to get him off of him. When Kawhi Leonard was guarding Luka Doncic man to man, his percentages dropped. So when people were talking, look, you just know they don't know what the hell they're talking about when they're talking about basketball. You got to watch the game and see what they're doing. This is not street ball. These guys are using systems to play basketball. And Luka Doncic was just beat him on the switch. So if you get John Wall in the pick and roll, I don't know how successful he's going to be at holding his own against some of the best wing players, offensive wing players in the Western Conference. And that's something that I have I have some concerns about. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer for them to start Terrence Mann, who's a 6'5" point guard, 2 guard. They can defend, play, make, hit threes. And I like him over any of the point guards that they have currently in their roster. So for me, I think there's some major drawbacks schematically to some of the things that the Clippers are doing, and some of the players that I've heard that they should offer. They make some good cases. Luke Kennard didn't really contribute as much last season, although he had some big moments here and there. Obviously, Serge Ibaka missed basically all of the season or half of the season, so he wasn't there. He didn't play any of the playoffs. He only played 1 game, and then he was gone. After that, he had to have back surgery. So I can understand, and obviously some people are saying you can move him on from Eric Bledsoe because of his contract. He's owed about $90 million over the next 2 years. And I'm not sure if that's something the Clippers want to take on, given the fact that, listen, if you take this guy on, you're losing 3 players, and he has an injury history. So what happens if he gets injured? Then you're hamstrung. Now you got to go and try to get players on the minimum, veteran minimum, and try to bring in some other players who are not going to probably be as good as the players that you gave them away for. So, and also getting rid of Serge, as I said before, having a stretch 5, I don't see how that helps the team ultimately, because if he's healthy, then I would keep Serge. So these are my thoughts and opinions on this trade. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think? Do you think they should go after him or not? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.